All right, girls, welcome back to another episode of the Hyperformance podcast. Joined as always by my faithful hosts, Matt Harvey and Jacob the Mosquito Mosquito. How are you doing, everyone?
Buzz, buzz, buzz. Very good. I'm joining you here with my new mic from Santa. Here we go for the YouTube listeners. It's great aesthetic. It's all
Well,
black,
not just
nice
that,
and matte.
new dizzying heights for the Mosquito this week as he gets his first dunk. Congratulations,
Oh,
Jacob.
yes. I've actually was a man of my word by 2 weeks and got my first dunk. Bit of a rim grazer, but a dunk is a dunk at the end of the day. Hopefully by the end of 2024, I'm windmill posterizing people. That's the big goal. And maybe some even more goals alongside that to really be that GPP mascot that I need to be. So, yeah, huge.
Well, it's good because I'm probably going to miss every single one of my 2023 goals athletically. So it's good that you hit one of yours. I did hit my handstand PB, but I'm just running out of time. But honestly, doing the track meet kind of fucked me a little bit because I had to peak myself for that. And then I'm just in the gutter this week. And this was my last week that I could hit the weightlifting total. Whereas I could have hit the weightlifting total and then that probably would have peaked me well to have a better crack at the sub 1200 meters.
How were y'all Christmases?
It was good. Christmas has been pretty boring in my family because I don't have a big extended family. Like the Bradleys, well, me personally, I've always loved Christmas because I got time off. Not anymore because I work every day, but I love what I do, so it doesn't really matter. But we don't have big extended families, so it really just is like a generally festive time of year. But now that my brother has a kid, he's got a 3-year-old kid. By extension of that, I have a 3-year-old niece. It just makes Christmas way more magic again. So obviously, Christmas morning, she wakes everyone up. She's heaps excited to open everyone's not just her presents, but everyone else's presents as well. And yeah, it was awesome. Also, my girlfriend Mirai, she's over on a 1-year work visa from the UK. So it was her first hot Christmas. So a little bit rough for her because she had some work stuff this week that was a little bit hard to deal with. But then she's been in the country for like 2 months now. And it is probably about the time you naturally start to miss your family, but then compound that with Christmas and stuff like that. So a bit of an up and down week for her, but yeah. That was about the sum of it. Did I get any good? I'm trying to think. I got some really good training shorts. Shout out to Mirai. And mum and dad got me a voucher because someone asked me on my Q&A the other week. They were like, "Is there a restaurant in Sydney that you've been meaning to try but you haven't had a chance yet?" And I said the Nobu Sushi Buffet because I'm not a big buffet guy, but I've been on a sashimi kick lately and I've heard great things about Nobu. And I was thinking to myself, if anyone can do a buffet, like they're someone that I would trust in a buffet sort of context. So going to go give that. It's not a sashimi. It's a full-blown sushi buffet, but I won't be taking anything that has rice on it.
It's really famous, right? Like there's a big one in London, yeah?
It's probably, I can't name a more famous bougie restaurant chain. It's a very market chain. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. And when you say buffet,
Vegas,
is that
London, Dubai? Sorry, Jake, go.
Oh, sorry. When you say buffet, is that all you can eat, or is just buffet? What is that term?
If you want to pound a whole salmon's worth of sashimi, it's on you. And
wow!
You just take home a couple of parasites, but that's the game you're playing when you're eating raw fish.
Fuck, that sounds like an absolute dream. Holy shit! And so the vouchers, were they for both you and Miro?
Yeah, should cover us both. Oh, sorry, it definitely covers our buffet fee, and I think there's probably a bit of money for a cocktail there, but yeah.
Very nice.
Very thoughtful gifts, because I gotta say, mum and dad with the gifts last year, bit average. Like, got me these boardies. I was like, when the fuck you see me wearing anything like this? Like, love is, love that you're thinking about me, but Christ, it's been a while since I had it. I'm hard to buy for because honestly, no one's going to buy me a surfboard. I don't want them to buy me a surfboard, and anything else, like that's why I got the business class flight back from the UK, because I've been looking to, like, now that I'm not completely broke, I've been looking for just a splurge. Like I nearly bought a gold chain, but I was like, that's kind of stupid, even though it's a good bit. I could just buy more surfboards. I'm buying myself some surfboards because I'm going to Bali in about 10 days. But like, even if I had to think about getting myself the gift, I struggle. So obviously I can't expect everyone else to be getting me sick gifts. But yeah, Mirai and mum and dad. What did Oscar get me? Can't even remember. Sorry, Oscar.
Damn.
I'm sure I was going to know. Oscar buys good gifts. Oscar got me an IKEA voucher.
Oh, that's not too bad.
That's a good gift.
It's all right.
Do you need anything from IKEA?
Yeah, I guess. Anyway, how was your Christmas, Jacob?
Yeah, very good. The parents gave me a very big gift in this mic, as you could probably hear and see. And yeah, just a lot of GPP stuff because I got that light, which is YouTube viewers can see. The room is all purpled out in that high performance purple. And we got sorry, I'm blinding everyone. A desk ring light. I had a big one that was getting annoying that always fell. And I also got strip lights. So I'm going to do the full influencer setup in my room. So content is
Just quickly, before we go to Harvey's Christmas, did POV porn ruin the ring light? Because I've seen a meta shift recently in non-porn related content creation where a lot of people have just been opting for the square box light. And I'm like, is this to try to move away from the POV porn association?
That is how did that come into your head? That is wow.
It was when
did you hear that from someone
a
else?
rugby strength coach. He did just a story. He just took a photo of his content creation setup and he had the squares. And I have noticed it in the background of more people's videos and a lot of people's like behind the scenes sort of things of a lot of people who, those content creators where all their content is about content creation. I've noticed a few of those people as well. Haven't seen that lit ring in the eye.
Yeah. You could be onto something, honestly.
There we go, guys.
But
It's been a bit of a meta shift there. But that sounds like a pretty productive Christmas. Got your first dunk, got thoughtful gifts, work-related gifts, because we all love our jobs here.
We do.
Thought about it. I think I probably always just assumed that the ring light works better because you're likely to get like a more natural looking shadow. Do you know what I mean? Like you're not going to get shadows with like mad fucking corners on them. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what I figured. But I don't know. Maybe there's something to it.
Maybe
there's fair enough because you can't put the camera inside a box. Because I guess like that's the pro of the ring light. It's like you just have the lens coming straight through it. So is that what affects the shadows?
Maybe, but I even just meant like even if you're not putting the camera in the middle of it, like it's just I just figured the shadow would be softer because like it's gonna have more curve instead of like bang and then.
Oh, you're thinking like literal soft edges then also means soft shadows? Maybe.
Yeah, kind of. Like I just thought it'd be a more kind of like a distribution of light be a bit different. Maybe there's not that much science to it. I just figured.
I think the way it radiates, though, I'm not sure if that's the actual effect. Anyway, people don't listen to us for the fucking. Actually, no, people do listen to us for us to talk about things we know nothing about. But there's plenty of other things for us to comment on that we know nothing about. Well, first of all, Harvey, what was the best Chrissy gift?
I got some sick clothes actually. Like I got this it's like a bit of a long story, but when I was in the UK, there's this like nightclub in Glasgow that like when I was a kid and we were there, they always used to have like unders nights. The unders nights exist. Do you know what that is?
Underage.
Yeah, but it's like a bit. I think it's a way bigger thing in the UK. Anyway, they just have
no, they used to have not necessarily
discos.
Club venues in Wollongong. Yeah, they used to have like underage discos. Maybe 151 when I was in year 10. Maybe they had an underage night.
It's a bit. I think it's a bit more of a thing in the UK. But anyway, basically there was this club, and it was like a goth club essentially. And like when we were kids, it just like I don't know. Quite often we'd be coming home from somewhere, and you just see like a line round the fucking corner of just like goths just fucking lining up for ages. Anyway, when I was there, it became a bit of a. I think I suggested going there once as like somewhat of a joke because it was like the only club I knew the fucking name of because I just like stuck in my brain so much. And then the joke picked up some legs, and you know we ended up being like, yeah, we're gonna go to the cat house. We're gonna fucking go. And then my aunt and then we went and like had a fucking fantastic night there. And then my aunt got me a fucking cat house shirt for Christmas, and I couldn't believe it when I opened it. It was fucking great.
That's pretty solid. Also, speaking of merch, we got our fucking first merch run. We got the test print, and
yeah, we did.
Have we talked about the color?
I don't know.
Right. So,
Well, we
because
can talk
the
about it again.
plan with the design was my vision for it was on a white tee. And it almost, what's the word I'm looking for? Like it did have this simultaneously like retro futuristic sort of feel to it, being printed on the white. But one of the tees that we wanted to test print on, they had no white left in stock of a particular style of heavy cotton. And then they're like, oh, do you want to try butter? It's an off-white. So, it's not what you want, but it'll give you an idea of, you can just have a feel of the quality of the shirt, the way the print sort of sits on it and everything like that. It ended up being the best. It left the white for dead. I couldn't stomach looking at the white as soon as I saw how it looked on the butter. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was like too much contrast and it made it seem like the print was like popping off the shirt, but in a bad way. But just something about the butter and the off-white, it's literally perfect. As soon as and it wasn't even this thing where I had to sit and think about it for a little bit. It was like as soon as the butter one was the first one I pulled out of the bag, just randomly, I was like, this is fucking it. I couldn't believe it. I was just so stoked with it. So butter is the color. It's not the print on a white tee. It's on a butter tee. Not that you can really, yeah, it does make a noticeable difference. Even because some of the photos that I took of it, which they'll be online, so I was like, oh, it looks white when I'm not wearing it. But when I'm wearing it, you can see what color it actually is. But we'll have to think about that with the promo shots and things like that. So I'm probably going to talk to Harvey privately tomorrow about finalizing the print and logistics of that. But then, yeah, we should have the full setup within 10 days and then they can go live for sale. So very exciting about that. Also, in other GPP news, we've just sold over half the tickets. By the time this episode's out, the early bird offer will be over for the GPP seminars in Sydney and in Perth, but there is still a chance to get a ticket before those dates in March. So yeah, GPP, very happy with how we're closing out the year. It's just been, I did have some ambitious goals that I set sort of pretty late in the year, but we've just done so well to tick off those. And as of this moment, again, we should have crossed this goal off by the time this episode drops, but we are 7 followers away from crossing 10K on the GPP page as well. Also, congratulations to Jacob, because he's been a huge driving force in that. We've been pushing very, very hard with the GPP page this year, and the effort shows. If you want to know how to make content that actually gets traction, sign yourself up to the mentorship. It's probably a bit too much of me flogging shit. Let's get back to the run shit.
No, it's great. It's great.
Speaking of flogging shit, actually, you guys by now will be familiar with the sound of our the first ad that's been on this podcast for 18 months to 2 years now. Shout out to Pay on Health, our flagship sponsors of the show. I met Dr. Mike on the weekend, or for the second, sorry. Yeah, I met him when he dropped the flywheel off at my apartment in Bondi back in the day, but I did my first track meet on Saturday. And yeah, he was there, obviously coaching the track speed development crew. So just mad cunt. We need to get him on the show. I listened to him on the S&C Roundtable, Brandon Accardi's podcast, and very smart and funny man. So we'll be getting him on the show as well. But yeah.
Oh, so he's a proper trainer?
Yeah, he's super legit. He's doing it fucking everything. He's in academia. Wow. He's coaching people. He's making a, what do you call it? Exercise equipment company. There's another word for it. I think that's a bit more succinct.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Wow, that's good on him. What a beast.
So wait, you did your first track meet the other day?
Yep. So Oscar told me that he was going to compete in the Campbelltown high speed classic or something like that. There was 100, 200, 400. I think he was going to enter all of them. I just wanted to do the 1 and the 200. Oscar ended up getting gastro about 2 days out. He bailed on me. He was going to be my lift as well. So I had to Uber it from Wollongong to Campbelltown and back.
Is that far for a Melbourneite like me? Like I wouldn't know idea.
It was a bit in Uber fees, definitely more than my registration fee, but got to do my debut.
A good 40, 45 minutes, isn't it?
Oh, right. Okay. Gotta do what you gotta do.
Pull up in the car park, hop out of my Uber. Who do I see? Jack Edwards, another friend of the show. I think that was really good. I was a little bit worried Mirai came with me to accompany me to the track meet, obviously to film all the content and just support me because she's a supportive girlfriend. But I was a little bit worried when Oscar pulled out because one of my other relay teammates, Craig Baker, like he's just been on a streak, just competing every single weekend since he had his baby. But then he decided to take a weekend off. So I just didn't know if it would be awkward hanging out at the track meet all day. But so a vast friend of the show, obviously Dr. Mike, aka Track Speed Development, Jack Edwards, Jack Darcy, another friend of the show. So it was really cool. We had a lot of fun. I was a little bit worried because it was my first time in blocks, so never even practiced in blocks, and got a few guys to give me the rundown in the Marshall area. I'm like, all right, how do these things work? Actually, shout out to Jack Darcy while I was warming up. I was like, hey Jack, never used blocks before. Give me the cheat codes. Just give me a basic rundown of them. He was like, walk from the line, it's 2 foot lengths, and that's your first block, and then 3 foot lengths for your second. And you put the first one, I think, on the flatter setting, and then the back one on the steeper setting, which I didn't make those second adjustments, but I did get my first foot 2 feet, second foot 3 feet. But then you have a look at my actual first step out of the blocks, utter dog shit. It's just, my type, spoiler alert, my type, zero fucking projection. Like, just fucking didn't go anywhere with the first out. Like, what do I fucking expect? But yeah, so I ran a 12.68. My last 20 meters was dog shit. Just need to accumulate more specific fitness for it. It was a byproduct of fatigue. It's just a little bit of fatigue. And my start, just my block start, but even just my transition from an acceleration posture into an upright running posture. Also, I do have a tendency to get a little bit too upright in my upright phase. I would like to actually maintain a little bit of forward lean because I think that's going to help me. Something else that I don't like about my upright running, I just like to get my knees a little bit higher so I could attack the ground with a little bit more momentum. And I think if I inclined my trunk forward just slightly, like I said, I'm not trying to run in a hinge. I just don't want to be like literally perfectly upright, almost like I'm fucking leaning back sometimes, whereas that's going to allow me to lift my knees up a little bit higher in my upright phase. And I know that my start will get better just from more exposure. I've had 3 sessions with the heavy sled now, but I need to buy myself a set of blocks. Even without explicitly practicing in blocks, just literally doing more 3-point starts and things like that, and just thinking about just way more projection on that first step. But once I clean that up, yeah, I'm pretty confident that sub 12 should be there. Like I was probably way too flippant about saying that I was going to go sub 12 like this year. But I think it's like would have been theoretically possible, but there was just needed a few more ducks in a row. Oh, the other thing, I don't want to make too many excuses because again, most of those things I've been in control of. The one thing I wasn't in control of, I was in the 12th heat. So there's about a heat every 2 to 3 minutes, and that's if there's no false starts or any nonsense like that or any weird officiating that needs to happen. So we're just hanging out in Campbelltown on a 38-degree day in the marshalling area for a good like 40 minutes in between my last warm-up run and then the actual start. So just doing random bullshit as you dehydrate and trying to sort of keep the body, like you're not cooling down on a 40-degree day, but you're not exactly priming the system just hanging out in that heat. So I'll be more ready if I was going to be late. It was a pretty big, I don't think that there's normally 12 heats at New South Wales track events. So a few things I can do a little bit better there with more experience, but sub 12 is absolutely coming. And I was really happy with my 200 meters because going into it, it was about a 3-hour break. I felt like I was on a huge come down. My legs felt tired and I ran a 25.7. So I was really happy with that. I would have been happy with anything close to 26 seconds. But I just felt like I ran a better race. Obviously, because the start's less consequential, and I was sort of expecting to go to shit a little bit at the end, but I also paced myself running through the bend. I just wanted to come out of the bend with a decent amount of momentum. So, I managed to manage expectations really well. So, yeah, 12.68, 25.7 for my 100 and 200 on my debut track meet, and had an awesome time there. Special thank you, like I said, to Jack Edwards, Dr. Mike, Jack Darcy, and Fast for just helping me out, making me feel comfortable and welcome at my first individual track meet.
So do you reckon cleaning up that block start will shave off that 60 milliseconds or 68 milliseconds.
It's not just that. It's also the back end of the race. Like there's a little bit of efficiency that I can take away through the middle of the race, but that is my best part of the race. Clean up the start a little bit, maintain my speed a little bit better. Sub 12 is there. Absolutely. Not much sub 12, but you just need to get sub 12 because as listeners of the show will be familiar with, according to Jack Edwards, once you go sub 12, you can fucking run. Okay, so Sam Portland, his heuristic, 9 meters a second. But that's to be fast in a field sports sense. If you want to pretend that you can run track, you got to be sub 12. And that's just our arbitrary standard here at High Performance Podcast. And evidently, Metamorphosis Track Project.
I feel like as GPP, we need to have some like standards, like, you know, the generic, if you can bench 2 times body weight, stuff like this. And we need a GPP one. I
honestly think if you want to have GPP standards, I think 12.5 is very respectable for an adult male. I would have to come up with a slightly different one for females. I don't know, because I know the difference between elite men and women, but then is there the same affordances between more casual sprinting, much more sub-elite difference between men and women? Just like elite women go 10.6. Oh, sorry, that's the elite of the elite. I don't know what the entry is to elite as a female 100-meter sprinter. If someone's listening to this and you feel like you've got a good feel for male and female sprinting standards, if you are a female or male high-level competitor, maybe it's sub-11 puts you in. No, but then you're a third of a second away from it. No, yeah, that has to be getting pretty elite if you go on sub-11 as a female. Whereas, like, if you go on sub-11 as a dude, it's fucking hectic still, you know?
Yeah, I think it'd probably be pretty close at the Gen Pop level.
Maybe we'll go like a 12.8 then for females. Like sub-13 for females, sub-12.5.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Gold standard. Obviously, like, this isn't Men's Health. It's not just like, oh, you can do 10 push-ups halfway down to the ground, or you're super advanced by our Men's Health elite protocol. This is no bullshit standards here.
Yes.
We'll do a show where we'll lay out the metrics for being truly generally physically prepared. I better work 100%. On my bench. Because my bench doesn't meet.
Oh, me too.
Standards.
Maybe we should make the metric absolute with like wingspan for me.
Or maybe we come up with some sort of coefficient or something like that. No, there's too many different.
It gets too many weeds. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Maybe we'll do it like a decathlon. We'll come up with 10 different metrics and then a points allotment for your ability in each of those. So then we're making affordances for people to have some weak area, but then allow overcompensation. So, you know, maybe you get, 1,000 points if you sub 12 in the GPP metrics, and then you get like 500 points if you're like a 12.5 or something like that. And then for deadlifts and stuff like that. And then we can be like, okay, so you need at least 8,000 points to be considered truly generally physically prepared.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
All right, that's gonna be a whole episode coming up in the next month or something like that.
Gotta get that in the notes.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah, that was pretty much the long and short of my first track. Oh, sorry, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, how did it feel being solo and not part of a team, especially with Oscar dropping out on you? Did it feel kind of weird or?
No, because people were asking me if I was nervous, and no, because I was just sort of, as much as I was talking about like, oh, it'd be amazing to go sub 12, realistically knew it wasn't the day for it, just with like last minute entry. I kind of monged my peak as well. I filmed a piece of content on split squats midway through the week and accidentally gave myself really bad leg DOMs that weren't there on competition day, but it was just, I cooked the back end of my peak. So with having no previous PBs to beat or something like that, I will be really nervous for my second meet. I know that because I know I'll be a little bit sad if I don't go faster than 12.6. And I will. Like, I just will. I know that I will, unless there's like special circumstances or something like that. But yeah, I know I'll be much more nervous for my second one. I'm just not that worried. Like, I've just done a lot of things. Yeah. Like, if you can do a seminar in front of a bunch of cunts on the other side of the world, you can go to an individual track meet. Or if you can get up and publicly humiliate yourself with your high school fucking band and play like 200 shows to no one. Like, what are you worried about?
perspective.
Yeah, totally. For sure. I guess it's just that thing as well where it's like realistically you don't have anything writing on this. You know what I mean? Like
this is
it's
why
not
I get
like you're-
frustrated by people not doing heaps of stuff. It's just like, what reputation do you think you have to protect? And I'm under no illusions about my reputation these days. So I'm just like, just go out there and have a go. But like, people respect it so much. And that's sort of what I spoke about in my meet wrap up on Instagram. It's like, you always forget, and it's something I say in my mentorship in regards to content creation. You always forget that oftentimes you're the biggest cunt in your life and that everyone else around you wants you to do really well. Do haters exist? Absolutely. But you kind of have to be crushing it to get hated, like crushing it pretty fucking hard. A lot of it is just your own internal critic, just there, because again, people think that they will get hate and then they never actually do the things. You have the balls to actually go do whatever it is, whether it's posting content, competing in a powerlifting meet, doing a track meet, whatever the hell you can think of, and you're like, oh, people actually really want me to do well. It's insane. It's an awesome feeling.
Totally. Have you got another one lined up or like a rough time frame of when you want to go again?
No, so the schedule for 2024 from Athletics New South Wales has only just been released, and there is a one coming up at the Karen McCann Centre, which is down in Wollongong. That'd be a local meet, but it overlaps with my Bali holidays, so I'll probably try to compete in February or something like that. I'll give myself the whole of January off. I plan on doing a bit of training when I'm in Bali. Like I'll keep up my plyos and I'll keep up some sprinting, but I don't plan on doing much weightlifting when I'm in Bali. So I don't know what sort of shape I'm going to come back in, but yeah, it could be interesting. I don't even know how long I'm going for.
First meet of 2024 sub 12 looking likely?
No, I think I'll be able to take it down at least 12.4.
Okay, cool.
Nah, maybe even more than that. I don't know.
That's a good place to aim for though. You know, like would you say that's your kind of?
Yeah, I'd be happy with anything under 12.4.
Sick.
So we see, could be some tears.
That's reasonable.
Any goals for Bali in regards to surfing?
I wouldn't mind putting together a clip of the whole trip. Like that'd be amazing to come out just with like 2 to 3 decent minutes of surf footage. Taking a few GoPros over, but POV doesn't translate that well. Like whether you're a kook or absolutely ripping, unless you're just getting barreled, POV footage is pretty dog shit.
Maybe you need a ring light behind the camera and get a few more clicks there.
Attach a ring light to the GoPro that's in my mouth. Maybe.
Oh, it's in your mouth.
Yeah, it's attached to a mouth guard.
Shit.
It's not on a chest strap or any bullshit. You put it in your mouth, which when you're in hectic surf, it can get a little bit spicy out there just having something in your mouth because, you know, you want to be in control of like how much water's coming in there.
Do you have to actively bite down as well?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, fuck.
It's honestly not too disruptive, but then it does add a bit of weight to your head. So I've been thinking about like when it's not barreling, is it really worth it? But then it's like, if you want footage of you surfing, how else are you going to get it? Again, I've been wanting to put a clip out for ages. It's so hard because I'd be happy to pay someone to film me. But then when do you tell them to show up to the beach? Because half the time you show up and it's shit, you don't want to film anyway. And then there's also the skill of knowing how to film it because again, surfing a little bit unique, you're pretty far away from it. But I've heard so in the first spot, we're going over to the other side of Denpasar. So there's on one side, there's like Uluwatu and all that. On the other side, there's like Karamas and stuff like that. So first accommodation is at Karamas where there are a lot of local guys who you can just pay to film you.
Oh, sweet as. Yeah.
I mean, I just want to, sorry, my explicit goals are rip, land a bunch of airs, hopefully get barreled a bunch. But I also want to crush out a large bulk of the content for the education site that we got coming in 2024, whether it's like filming it or whether it's just mapping out the content more clearly, just so it's ready to record as soon as I get back. That's one of my big goals for that trip.
That new location, hopefully inspiring some cool ideas. I definitely feel that for sure. Yeah.
Very excited about that.
Do we want to discuss the whole Corey Worthington thing?
Yes. Hell yes. I'm the only one who put this on the run sheet, didn't I? Do you know who Corey Worthington is, Jacob?
No. Will it ring some bells if I search it up? I'm doing it right now.
Just if you don't do any investigation, just Google images it, and when his head pops up, tell me if it's familiar, and then I'll take it from there.
Corey Worthington. Okay. Oh, no way. Yes, the iconic interview. Of course.
Yeah. So, for anyone, because we got a pretty big international audience for the show. So, who is Corey Worthington? He's an Australian icon, and basically, he was the first really big public story where back in the days of Facebook, early Facebook days, this is probably when a lot of people were still on MySpace. His parents went away. He created a Facebook event that he was hosting a party. It was somewhere in Melbourne, I think. And it just was the first one that really got out of hand before people fully understood the dangers of having a public party event on Facebook. Ended up having to call the riot squad. His neighbors' properties got damaged, cars got damaged, and things like that. Obviously, then led to the iconic A Current Affair interview where the host was like, "Why don't you just take off your sunnies and say sorry? Why don't you just take off your sunnies and say sorry?" And then he had his famous line, essentially just told her to get fucked, which was hilarious. Yeah, and then so I don't know what he's been up to since then. I'm assuming he's been on Big Brother, all sorts of reality TV shows without even looking into it. I'm 100% sure that's
He's been on Ninja Warrior.
Of course he has. Him and every other fucking loser personal trainer. It's just, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Ninja Warrior is just Australian Idol for personal trainers. Fucking.
We need to get on there.
Of course, he's been on that, but then hadn't heard of him for a few years. What's he been up to? He punched a man in a wheelchair the other day, which is just, sorry, like, violence isn't funny, especially against disabled people. Even if you're a real piece of shit who's like just violent in general, you would think out in public, even if you wanted to hit someone in a wheelchair, you just wouldn't. The guy in the wheelchair is all right, isn't he?
Yeah. So I have a couple things, right? So this guy was 67 and in a mobility scooter. Not a wheelchair, right?
Oh, right. So you're saying it's fair game?
No, I'm not saying it's fair game. I'm saying it's like, I don't know, but I don't think it's a case of like, this guy has been disabled all his life and thus is in a wheelchair. I think it's a case of this guy is so old.
It does change the vibe of it significantly. Like someone who's in the traditional wheelchair versus a mobility scooter. So I heard dude in a wheelchair, but then it's same, but different.
I'm just reading a bit on here, but all I'm saying is this guy is clearly old and frail, or like old and not physically very,
I can imagine him just getting in. I was laughing before because I can envision him just getting into full mount on the scooter and just absolutely ground and pounding this poor guy. There's no help. But that's just my imagination there. Probably didn't actually happen that way. Hopefully it was just like a punch.
If you like on the 9 News article that I put on the run sheet, it's got here, he said Worthington attacked him from behind without warning, punching him in the face, hitting him with a spanner before he was dragged off his scooter.
Jesus. So
fucking hell no.
To war with this bloke in the wheelchair. So the story is Corey thinks that he touched, I think a boob was touched, but the guy's just driving his scooter around. And I think he's claiming that he accidentally copped a boob brush. Happens to the best of us. But Corey was like, no, he did it on purpose.
It was a drive-by boob grab. I thought it was like a stop.
Not
grab.
a boob grab, but as in like they're in a high traffic area.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The guy Peter, his name is in food denial. But it's weird. And then Corey, apart like outside the court, if you read the article a bit more, he says, "I did something wrong, but I'm asking you, if someone touched the mother of your kid, what would you do?" And then the article's like shortly after that, he got angry with the reporters and the interview stopped basically.
Oh, look, as much as Corey was a legend to us all in that moment on A Current Affair after he first came into the public eye, I don't think any of us actually want to get a beer with the bloke or hang out with him. Like, definitely.
If he wants to come on the pod.
Get him on.
You don't want if you're listening, come on the show.
We want to hear your side, man.
Exactly.
All right, what's next on the run sheet?
But also, just to give it a bit of a round off, he was handed a 12-month good behavior bond and was not convicted.
Interesting.
Is a good behavior bond slap on the wrist?
I imagine they weren't on CCTV or anything like that. I think if you have another charge, it does increase your likelihood of getting a maximum sentence or something like that. But it's essentially just don't commit another crime for whatever this period is. And
it's
so
kind of
like a
being-
golden point
it's
for
like being-
driving.
It's like be it on probation. Like if you get done for something, you'll get pretty fucked if you're on it. Do you want to talk about this Patrick? David, whatever it is.
Well, yeah, there was a podcast, and Patrick Bet David is sort of this businessman, millionaire, and he really wanted to take over the Olympia. And this is what his plans were. Number one, pay the athletes a bit more, and pay the athletes that bring the most eyes in more. So, for example, C-Bum, stuff like this. But
no, C-Bum.
C-Bum, basically.
Like, that's it.
He'd be getting
the
everything.
Fuck else is bringing eyeball? No one's going to watch anyone else.
True, very true. We all want to see if he's going back to back to back to back to back again. So
Back to back to back. No, I'm
back to
just
back to
in there
back.
for that speech. The speech was so fucking good.
yeah, that was powerful. That was on par with Izzy when he bet Adesanya. I mean, when he bet.
No, it was
Pereira.
better. It was Izzy's moment was better, but Chris Bum's
True.
speech was
The
better,
actual
I would say.
talk. Yeah. So the second thing he's thinking of adding in, he's sick of the subjective nature of it all when it comes to the classic physique category. And he really wants to use AI to really balance out and see who is actually the most symmetrical person. And that's where he kind of lost everyone.
That's the dumbest shit ever. All right,
in
Pat,
tech-
I know you're listening, so this is how you want to do it. If there's any category where we're looking for a sense of objectivity, it's the open class. If there's anything where it's like we've brought subjectivity into it, it was in the creation of the fucking classic physique thing, because it was, again, it's like, oh, we're trying to bring the aesthetics back. We're tired of the blown out waists and the GH guts and the mass monsters that are so unrelatable. Let's bring back the golden era again. It's subjective what all of that sort of means. So if there's any of them where you're going to embrace the subjectivity, please let it be the classic physique. In the open class, measure their biceps, measure every single muscle group as best as you can, throw them in a fucking DEXA. If there's, and again, get rid of all these rules, because again, open keeps getting influenced by classic. This is why smaller people are winning it. And I just have no interest in that. Show me how big your GH belly can get. That's where I'm at with the open. I just want to see big freaks. Maybe they're trying to move away from that because people might die if they're just like, yeah, it's open season. No one cares about how tidy that waist is. And they're like, you mean I can take more pharmacology? And they probably will. But again, they're adults. They can do what the fuck they want. I just think the open class should be as much of a freak show as possible. And the idea of bringing objectivity to classic is just fucking stupid.
Yeah. And the entire comment section was flooded. It's like, yeah, please don't buy the Olympia. But yeah, because I definitely feel like you need still the art of the people that are judging. There is an art. Like, they've got the reps behind everything. They've seen all these bodies. You smack an AI. What sort of data are you inputting into that AI too?
I'm ashamed to say I actually saw a lot of clips from this podcast, and it was heaps funny when Patrick Bet David was asking him about how to do steroids safely, and C-Bum was like, well, definitely wait till you've reached your natty limit. But then you look back on it, C-Bum got on when he was like, 21 or something like that, 22. And he was like, make sure you do your research. He's like, and how should you do research? And C-Bum was like, ask people and like read articles and stuff. It's just like, you definitely just went up to some cunt in the car park, didn't you? Like, it's just, you could feel like this awkward tension rising because Patrick Bet David was just like innocently probing around. He's like, no, what did you do? Like, tell me all the ways you looked into it before you did it. And Chris Bumstead was trying to avoid saying like, I just went up to the shady man in the car park.
The most general answer.
But yeah, absolutely. It's just like, fuck. People who take steroids, they're just loose units. It's the same as party drugs, right? Just this whole idea of like safe gear use that's like fueled by this whole annoying TRT conversation. I'm so fucking over it. Steroids, it's bad for you. But if you want to take them, absolutely go for it. It's bad for you. It's not a health protocol. And like I said, unless it's genuine TRT, which most people are just looking for an excuse to do a cycle.
Yep. So in summary, Patrick Bet David, your idea sucks.
Yeah, keep him out of bodybuilding. What's his main business?
I think he's just a businessman. He does consulting for companies that are at different levels. and how to sort of be better. Bit of a Hormozy type situation. And he owns, he's a part owner of what's the biggest franchise in baseball and in sport history? The Dodgers. The Dodgers.
What?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, so he was involved with the Otani thing.
I think he has a stake in the Dodgers. I could be wrong, but yeah.
Hectic. Right. Fuck. He must be rich.
Yeah, he's well off.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He also tried to buy what's his name? Something Tucker Carlson. He also tried to sign him to his media business, but he literally turned down a $44 million offer just so he could be on Twitter or X now. And he said to Patrick Bet-David's face that Elon Musk's retweets are worth more than that $44 million, which is kind of crazy.
Oh, but then again, Patrick Bet-David has a pretty huge following, or does he? I don't really know how big his following is. I'm assuming it's pretty big. He's getting Bumstead on his show. That's the only episode I've ever seen from him.
Yeah, but it's kind of crazy what how he values Elon Musk.
Surely it wouldn't be that hard for Tucker Carlson to make 40 odd million off Spotify ads or something like that, or just general podcast ads of his own.
Yeah, I feel like if you want to come back,
what's the go he would have had to get off X, or are Elon Musk and Patrick Bet-David like enemies or something?
No, they're not enemies. He just wanted him to sign to his brand Valuetainment and have his own segment on there.
What was
he
that
said no.
company name? Valuetainment.
Yeah.
That's almost as bad as Elon trying to be heaps sexy by naming Twitter X. Like, Elon, you're not stop trying to be sexy. It's just weird. I don't want to go on X. X sounds like a site you go to, like, see what anyway, let's just move on. All right, guys. I'm not sure what guest we'll have dropping this week, but if you've been paying attention, you'll notice we've been having guests back on the show. So this will be one of the episodes this week, but keep your ears and eyes peeled because there'll be another great guest on the show later this week.